Hi, it's Mark, and welcome to the Golden Present reading. These are readings that are compiled from different satsangs and messages from Swami Satchidananda before he left his body in 2002. And I'm doing the reading for April 14th. Topic is develop the will. Why do people do bad things if they already know what is right and what is wrong? Because of lack of will. We know what is wrong, but we don't have the willpower to stay away from that. How can one develop the will? By discipline and regular practice. You develop that will by doing little things. Don't start with a big job that you cannot easily do. If you fail, you will lose confidence. Accomplishing small things will improve your self-confidence. You will be happy, oh, I did it. Then one day, even the biggest thing will be the easiest thing for you. Will means application of the mind, training the mind, making the mind work in a positive way. It's achieved slowly. It's easy to say, oh, I'm not made for that. It's too much for me. Not everyone can do that. Such excuses are self-delusion. Without will, we cannot achieve anything. Develop the will. Well, I just was thinking about, I went down to visit my old workplace, and I was talking with my former coworker, Cindy, who's in the event industry, and it's picking up. Things are starting to rev up again in safe, ways. Everything's being figured out, and just thought about that whole journey of that event world and the amount of things that we all figured out how to do. And from hearing Cindy yesterday, hearing from her all the things that she's having to figure out, and how it's only because of her years and years of being in that environment, understanding how things work, how things fit together, how the logic works, how all their different relationships work. I mean, this takes years and years of knowledge to be able to, go on to this thing where she's going to be, flying on this trip to do this pretty intense project that somebody else might have been like deer in the headlights, and she's like, okay, I got this, do this, do that. And it's powerful, here's a workplace that's given the skills to channel the mind and to discipline the mind in such a way that, it sort of follows along with this reading. Anything is possible. And I remember that kind of belief when I used to work there, is like, we could do anything, just tell us what needs to happen and we'll figure it out. And I know that's why I enjoyed that job, because of the challenge and the problem solving and then the reward of, getting through that. And we always got through it, knock on wood. That was just part of how it goes. And if it doesn't go the way we were thinking, you figure out the next solution. And that's really the way of skillfully going through any experience. Of course, in the event world for sure, because there's at some moment it has to be called. This is it. And in life, we get these opportunities where we get to problem solve and figure out how do we go from one step to the next. And I like how he says in here, and he wrote it, 4 times, slowly. By doing small things, not by trying to rush through just because we have an idea of what the goal is. Anything that has that kind of far out or long-term type of goal, we need to start to understand all the steps that need to be taken. And that reminds me of coaching that I was receiving around building a business. They helped us train our minds by envisioning what would be the biggest goal you can imagine that you want. What could you imagine yourself achieving, and let your imagination run wild. And I created this concept of a wellness center or a well-being center, and started creating a whole vision board and images that I would find on the internet that I liked, and And then you take that and then work your way backwards. Okay, so what are you doing then for the next 5 years that lead you towards that? What are you doing in the next 2 years, 1 year, etc.? What are you doing today that leads you in that direction? And that helps the brain know what and why it's doing the things it's doing. There's like a test for everything that you're doing. Is this in accordance with that vision? And I know for myself, I need reminders. I need things to help me remember there's purpose in that type of vision. It's something I spent time thinking about. It may change, it's hard to say. Of course, we can't always know for certain, but I know that it will change organically, based on whatever steps I'm taking now, based on whatever unfolds from this whole experience. And that's really how I think all of our lives unfold to some level. We probably have something we want. We put something forward, whether it's education, a family, a career path, and then stuff happens. Some of us stick with it for our entire life. Some of us have to make changes. And I think rather than thinking we've fallen off the path, we might recognize that these are all pieces that start to fit together in some other organic way that we might not have ever figured out were part of the puzzle. But all these bits of information are ideally making sense at some point. Oh, this happened to help teach me about this. This happened to strengthen me so I could make it through this. This huge mistake I made is so that I knew not to make that on the next one. I mean, that was a huge part of what all the events were about. All the mistakes that you learned along the way, you began to get smarter about how to avoid them. And then there'd be a new one. And then you would learn. And I'm grateful for how that helped to discipline my mind in a lot of ways, even with building this business. One was to be around seeing things that would, huge things that could come into fruition, and being around these really beautiful unfoldings of experience. And then the other thing is just to know how much hard work it took, and having to stay focused. What does he say here? It takes, the two things were discipline and regular practice. So something, as I was going there every day, working, and I think all that practice helps to discipline the mind. Whether it's work, whether it's your sitting practice, your yoga practice, something that happens on a regular basis. Your choices for eating. A big shout out, since I'm speaking of Cindy, whoop whoop. She's been working on having a plant-based and now shifting to more of a pescatarian diet, which is awesome, incredible. So I'm happy to be hearing about that and talking about that with her. So it's one of those things where what are we doing on a daily basis that helps us focus and move towards our intentions? Okay, thank you for watching. That's why I'm doing these, for myself, and maybe this is helping for you too in some strange way. So take good care, and I'll see you tomorrow.